we wanted to just say hello, and we're glad you're here for what we hope is our final quarantine program titled F Words, 3 to Avoid and 3 to Embrace for Peak Performance. And pretty much everybody knows us, but in case you don't, I'm Barbara.
And I am Charlotte, and it's just such a pleasure to feel the community gathering right now and to see so many friendly and familiar faces. So welcome right now.
Welcome. And you know that we had intended a completely different program 4 weeks ago about helping you have maybe a little lightness and feeling a sense of renewal for this phase of the pandemic. But as we all know, it has been a horrible 10 days. And for us to ignore it just feels wrong.
And so we want to start with honoring, you know, wherever each of you are right now in the world and in this place in the world at this moment. And we want to recognize that maybe not everyone is really pumped about their professional development at this moment or today, but we want to gather as a community. And we just felt that we've seen a lot of videos and a lot of action, and here was one last night from Fired Up.
Yeah, that was last night.
So great. For those of you who just joined, welcome. We're just getting started saying hello and starting off with a little bit of hope. And what we'd love to do now is in the chat box, we'd love to hear from all of you. You could share a word or two or a phrase about how you're doing right now and where you're at in this moment in time. So please just jump into the chat. I'm sure after all these months of Zooming, we all know how to do that. And let's hear from you. All right. Oh, Bella's here. I'm going to keep, Babs, I'm going to keep admitting people if you'll respond to what's happening in chat so I can.
Oh, thank you, Lauren, for starting us off. Feeling hopeful, Holly, optimistic, Daisy, great. This is fantastic. I absolutely love that our first chat contribution from Lauren was feeling hopeful, feeling focused. Jenny, you're going to get a little bit more on that today. Effie says, great. Elizabeth, Liz, hey Liz, says, thanks for putting this together. That's so good. Going okay considering, exactly. I think that that's a really good summary of perhaps trying to get that growth mindset, Liz, around not being too wallowing in anything that's going wrong right now. Ready to get focused back, Meg, excellent. Motivated, Catherine, nice.
Yes, motivated.
These are great. Okay. You know, we weren't sure, were we sure, what we might see?
Right.
We were ready, right, for everything. But here's the thing. Since we didn't have a dance break, you know that at Speakable Partners, we really value movement and what it does for the spirit, what it does for the body. So if you don't mind, what if we do a little stretching instead?
Of our dance break, you mean?
Anybody interested in a couple of stretches? Let us know in the chat. Yay! Daisy says yay.
Nice. Let's do it. I'm ready.
Okay, so what I'm just going to do is, let's see if we can put a little music on.
I know, you do that. And so I guess, Barbara, everybody, you could be seated if you're sitting and do these stretches. And Barbara's going to lead us with some music. You can, if you're standing like I am, it'll all be great. But get yourself comfortable and wherever you are, up or down, just ready to roll. Go, dog, go.
That's right. Okay. So sit back a little bit so you can have some room. We're going to start with something that's very important for all of us. You do not have to be in high tech to have tech neck. We're going to fix it. That's what I want you to do. Pull your chin all the way back. Pull your chin all the way back. Take your forearm, your palm, put it on your forehead and press. Into your forehead, press, let go, shake it. All right, let's do it again. Push it back. Palm, you to cross your forearms behind your back. Okay? I want you to look up. Lift your chest. Now drop your eyes to the back right corner. Look back up. Drop your eyes to the back left corner. Look up. Fantastic. All right, bring your arms forward. A genie pose. And I want you to go to your right once, to your left once, to your right twice. Here we go. Single, single, double. Single, single, double. Nice. Okay, last one. Right arm on your left knee or your chair. Left arm up over and back. Up over and back. Now look behind you. Last one. Left arm, right knee. Right arm up and over. And up. And back over. And up. Look behind you. And shake, 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 shake. Woo!
Oh,
Nice.
I could do that for 10 more minutes, quite frankly. That just felt really great. Can never not move, you know, and movement is so important, especially in the midst of a lot of seating and being home and all that. So thank you for that, Barbara.
Absolutely.
And let's see. What were we here for right now?
Oh, yes.
I can't remember.
We were here because we've been quarantined for 80 days.
Oh my Lord, here we are. It sort of looked like that trajectory. And that's what inspired us originally when we were doing this to come up with the F word theme for the last 3 months. F words.
And you all thought our first F word was going to be this one. Who thought the first word was going to be the F-bomb? Let's see in the chat. Anybody? Yeah. Oh, sorry, Jenny.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can follow along with my gestures. Okay. So no, we're not going to throw the F-bomb right now. Oh, good. Edie thought we had a different plan. Nice. Good. Well, look.
The first word, right?
We prefer to focus on our ability to be resilient and to imagine a possibility of an even better future. And that is not including the F-bomb right now. So before we get into the 3 Fs, to avoid, we just have to touch on our favorite subject, which is that we wanted to get your perspective. What are you doing right now? So I'm going to open a poll and we're going to ask you to pick which F word best describes the last 3 months. Okay? Oops. So hold on. Here we go. What F word best sums up the last 3 months? Okay, oh, so Judith used the chat, that's fine. Judith, great. Fantastic, fatigued, fierce, fearful, fit, flabby, fluid, frustrated, foggy, or furious. I'm gonna give it a few more seconds. If we could get everybody to participate, that would be great. We're at 72%. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll show the results. Let's see what we've got, Char.
Oh, it's
okay,
amazing.
So
first of all, it's
frustrated.
fantastic that people out there are feeling fantastic. So
Yeah.
there have been definitely some silver linings. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got fatigued and frustrated coming in before fantastic, fluid, a little foggy, a little fearful. Okay.
Foggy,
So if that's
yeah.
still in your way, you just X out of the poll to get back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the point is that this sums up the best words for the last 3 months, but we probably all felt all of these. It's so funny that nobody said fit, because I happen to know somebody on this call is doing a shit ton of yoga. So there's got to be some fitness going on out there right now. A lot of walking, I hope. But yeah, We're very fluid state and a lot of fluctuations. So it's great to take the poll, and this leads us to the goals that we have today outside of being together in community. First is, can everybody see this slide, Barbara?
Well, they should. It's sharing.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure because for whatever reason I wasn't. So we want to today slow down, settle down, and give each of you the opportunity to really reflect and identify some of the ways that these F words have interfered with your ability to bring your best and full self to the table. So that's the first thing. The second is we want to encourage you to make a choice, a conscious choice about how you might want to move forward and maybe more effectively navigate and manage whatever your particular situation is as we move to the next phase of this rollout. And then finally, and most importantly, we really hope each of you will be able to set an intention that will act on the choice that you make. And those are our goals for each of you today.
Excellent. Okay. Now, if you were with us for the last couple of webinars, you may remember that we try to ground all of our work around reorienting and bringing our best selves to our career is the issue of the brain having this primary principle of detecting threat and also reaching toward pleasure or a positive reward state. And we know that threat detection is much stronger. So our takeaway right now is this: the human body was never designed to be in this hypervigilant threat state for very long. But what happens when you do gets us to the 3 F words to avoid. And those are fight, flight, and freeze. When you get into that threat detection, your body kicks in with cortisol, adrenaline, and all the unhappy chemicals to get you to deal with what's in front of you. And it doesn't necessarily help when you're trying to transition to a new normal and get back on your career and your life plan if you're in one of these states.
And the paradox of it, of course, Barbara, is that on the one hand, like, thank God for these 3 Fs because they've literally ensured that our human species has survived, right? Like when we've been faced with life-threatening situations, like these 3 Fs have been our partners to prepare us and our body to react and move quickly. So on the one hand, we want to, thank God in our DNA that they exist. But on the other hand, we can't live, as Barbara was saying, in a permanent state there without exhausting, derailing, and really losing our health and welfare.
That's right. So when that amygdala kicks in, we understand that we're not going to be at our best self. It's good for the moment, as Charlotte said, to really know what's going on, but then you have to be able to rebound. And here's the thing. Maybe this will be the first takeaway for you. It is each of our jobs to regulate our emotions so that we get the positive result we wanted and not the negative result. And so it is about emotional regulation that helps us get rid of this fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah, and when we fail to self-regulate, first of all, the first thing is to notice this, but we go into this subcortical lockdown, the body takes over, and in those moments, we've all experienced, we can work against ourselves. Like the truth of who we are and what we offer in any situation can often just vanish. And I think in the last 3 months, we've been going up and down with these 3 Fs with a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of email, a lot of Slack. We're just not getting the person-to-person connection. And so the body is sort of in a constant state of vigilance. And when things are going well, it's okay that we're using these mediums to connect, but when things start to get challenging, they really challenge our ability to make these connections with people, and therefore, these 3 Fs go haywire. So, and they feel like the only option we have to work with. So this is something we really want to be addressing right now with all of you as together.
That's right. We want to give you a chance to talk to each other for about 5 minutes. And what we thought would be the best place to transition from the 3 Fs to avoid before we go into 3 Fs to embrace is talk about what have the last 3 months been like for you? And what do you think the impact on your overall outlook was? Even when some of you have said beautifully that you're transitioning already to a more positive state, that's great, but still share what the last 3 months have been like.
So if you could, coming back, find somebody from the group or elect yourself to type into the chat for everyone to see. Just some summaries of what you were saying, what you were hearing with each other, what bubbled up that might be useful for us to review together.
Yeah. Well, as Paige says for her group, it's hard to figure out the path forward because bigger outlook, long-term planning is really hard. Listen, every day in my inbox, I get, now's the time, seize it. You can create your whole new iteration right now. And so, but yet what Paige is saying is still real. So this is us, you almost have to. So Charlotte and I now have 4 scenarios for October.
Yeah.
Because to not try anything is not okay either, yet it feels hard, Paige. You're absolutely right.
And I like what Liz said here, like as a freelancer, it feels insensitive to market to potential clients.
Oh God, yeah.
And I think that there's a fine line right now, right, around that. And I'm sure all of you on the front lines with clients and things like that are looking to get more clients or support the clients you have, you're all struggling with that too. So this is just fluctuating and fluid and frustrating. And also, I think it'd be worthwhile to sort of talk about, if these are the 3 F's of challenge, how do we move into the 3 F's of opportunity, or how we embrace the challenges to get to the juicy, what we can do and what we can control that really makes us all feel more purposeful and contributing.
All right, well, let's do that.
Okay.
Thanks for all these wonderful contributions. We're going to ask you to do it one more time before we sign off. So if you were this awesome note taker, hopefully you can do it again. Okay, so over the quarantine, maybe like many of you, I read Untamed by Glennon Doyle. And I was talking to Charlotte about it and was saying that one of the things that happened is, in this memoir, is she was talking about how she was trying to overcome addiction and a really bad marriage. And all of a sudden in the mail comes a card from a friend of hers, and the card said, "Be still and know." And she goes on to say in a very humorous way, the card did not say,
"Pull your friends and know."
Nor did it say,
"Read books by experts and know."
And it certainly didn't say,
"Scour the frickin' internet and know." For hours, you will know nothing.
And she jokes about how she was in the Google search bar typing, "Do you leave a marriage when the father is a great dad?" She's typing it in, So long story short, she realized it wasn't going to happen from a Google search, and she practiced it. She practiced getting still. I won't ruin it for you in case you want to read the book, how she did it. And what we talked about in our work to get the 3 F's that you should embrace is we whiteboarded it, we post-it noted it, we discussed with each other, we polled our clients about what was working, and came up with
the internet.
Yeah. And we came up with our 3. And what we wanted to do was give you these as a way to find your true north again. Because, it's been a little wonky. Maybe you headed south. No offense to anybody from the south. So here they are. First one, we have to fortify. And what we mean by that, it's time for you, Laura, Jen, Effie, Catherine, to be invigorated again. And the focus. Focus is, it's important to get our concentration back. And there's going to come a time, I promise you. Look at what Denise said in the beginning of our webinar. She's in her bathrobe, she's in the meeting with her boss, and now she wanted to get her Zoom shirt on. Is no one's going to forgive you at some point for being distracted. It's gonna go thin very quickly. And then finally, how do we flex? It's time to remember your versatility and your capability of adapting to a new normal.
Yeah. And for me, I'd say the Fortify piece, as I review these, is, how do we stay with ourselves when things get challenging? Like, how do we come to our center? And focus to me is like, we are constantly being invited to be distracted. Like, look at this, look at that. And particularly been, I found, very challenging in the last 3 months. And this ability to bring our focus to a person, which often means to stop thinking about ourselves and in our heads, in our office, alone in our basements, like me right now, and get out of it, which is why it's so amazing to be in community with all of you right now. And then flexing, you know, you fortify and focus, and that allows you, enables you to kind of take the focus off yourself and really be present and paying attention situationally with what's going on and what people are saying and what's happening, so that you can navigate and manage a conversation that leads somewhere, that isn't just a blah, blah, blah talking at. So let's dive into a little more of the 3Fs, Babs.
Yeah, okay. So,
all right, so
Fortify.
wait, did we say we're not saying the F word, or we are? Can I say it?
Oh, I think you have permission to say it.
Oh, okay, all right. Because really the truth is that if we cannot fortify if we can't calm the fuck down, right? Like everybody's got to calm the fuck down. And what that involves starting with is shifting from a mindset of what's wrong, what's missing, what's a problem, to being more mindful of like, what is right? What is working? What is good in my world or in my life or in this moment? And I know this fluctuates all the time, and I can go from one extreme to the other in the course of an hour these days. But getting yourself purposefully training the brain, and we talked about this in the last webinar. If you don't train your brain at this moment to calm the fuck down, like it's going to take you wherever the body's going to take you. So this is the most important thing. And whether that's for you, like, do you breathe? Do you take a walk? Do you watch? Barbara wrote down, how about cat videos, right? The things you're doing to calm yourself down and find some emotional regulation. And I wonder if anybody here, well, we're going to get to that in a minute. So that's the first one, right? So calm the fuck down, everybody.
The reason is, again, the head screams, the heart whispers, the gut whispers, but they're there. It's just the head screaming. So that's why we say, let's assume we all now CFTD. No, CTFD.
Right.
Okay.
Which, once we do that, leads to?
Now you're actually able to focus. And what we meant here was, because in essence, we are career coaches. We are leadership development coaches for your ability to attain the C-suite, if that's your goal, or to just crush your goals in place, is that it's time to get back to career and life planning. And what we want to ask you is this: what matters to you right now? And this is even more important of a question. What deserves your attention? Now, notice we didn't ask you what demands your attention. Oh, look, Jen's showing what's demanding her attention in the perfect way. That was awesome, Jen.
Can everybody see Jen's child hanging on her breast, basically? Screaming for mama.
So we know that the list that demands your attention is not going to go away, and it's long. So we're asking you right now, what deserves your attention? And we want you to consider what that is, because that's where you're going to get your best thinking, your best effort. So why are we asking you about this? Because no matter whose research you look at, one common denominator comes through. What we focus on grows.
And now,
so why not make it a worthy target?
Yeah, and now is the time to really restore our sense of what the values are, our true north, to do that. So I just love that line, Barbara. You know, and the last one has to do with flex. And this is something we talk a lot about in communications, and SheSpeaks, as well as Speak Well Partners, which is, you know, your success often depends on your ability to really focus on and listen to the perspectives and point of views of other people. And we think we are, but we're not always so successful. And so to the extent that you understand like where your boss is coming from, where your clients are coming from, where your colleagues are coming from, where your family is coming from, like this capacity allows you, when you hit some of these dead ends, to move and situationally continue to navigate and move forward so that you're actually achieving your own goals. And your own communication needs are being addressed and met in this process, ironically. In my house right now, you know, all three of my adult children are living at home, and my youngest daughter was a big Bernie Bernie supporter and just devastated by his withdrawal. And I'd say, you know, my husband and I are a little bit more mainstream. So we've been having some really, like, especially with everything going on right now, conversations about what do we do? How do we make a difference? Like, what's happening in the world? And I confess that I was a little bit like that first arrow into the orange circle, like, oh my God, she's 21, she's doing these things, she's saying these knee-jerk things, and I wasn't really listening as well as I could have. And so when I actually sat and, you know, again, fortified, focused, and was able to flex to where she was coming from, I actually, like, we moved around those orange circles and got to a place where, you know, okay, I'll make my mainstream contributions, but we can also make contributions to the bail fund right now, you know, and that's what our family got to, which was just really cool and a result of listening to her and getting to a solution that made sense for everyone and achieved our own goals. So flexing is key in this process.
And you're going to notice that all three of these are brain-friendly strategies to bring your best self to this new situation that we're all about to enter. And the question is not, can you use them? The question is, how? To what end? How effectively? So we're going to put you into one more breakout round. And what we'd like you to do is now help each other shift and talk now about either what's working right now. What are you doing with these 3 F's? Calming the F down, focusing and flexing. And then maybe if you don't really have much, you can also talk about what will you do? Okay, so I'm going to do that right now.
So we're going to rinse and repeat with the same process. You'll accept the invitation to get into the breakout. You may or may not be with the same people, so introduce yourself, take a minute, and we'll look for someone to scribe the experience. So we'll start seeing you all go, and we will start the timer now. And if you have any problems, we'll see that soon. So off you go, and thank you. All right, everybody, welcome back. Appreciate those of you who had some difficulties, and we worked those out, and hope everybody had a chance to share. And we'd love to rinse and repeat what we did before and let some scribes share the conversation of what's being done or what will be done relative to those 3 F's, which isn't the F word F's, but the fortify, focus, and flex F words. So maybe people could start writing some things in, and we'll hear about the most recent conversations you had.
And just so people are writing, Judith, Charlotte, and I were just chatting, and Judith was saying that all of a sudden everybody's thinking it's all 24/7 access. You know, let's see, we got avoid.
Is everybody back in, Babs?
Yep.
Okay, I just wasn't seeing.
Avoid the constant influx of news. Get out in nature. Yes. Listen to loud music. Try to have specific daily schedule. Oh, routines are huge.
Yes.
Have a clear project with start and end date. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, because I mean, everything was sort of just a blob, right? Anyway, what we're saying was one of our clients is educating their boss about that, Judith, about the 24/7 thing. And what they realized, and I'm just sharing this in case it helps, is they realized that if they listened more, the boss had 1 or 2 real priorities, and the rest, if they ignored, they never got mentioned again. And on the call the other day, the boss said, "Oh, I really admire your focus." So, you know, it's just a little tip. Because we have to prioritize.
Focus on family, finding stillness and mindfulness, at peace with decisions. Yeah, that's good. Not ruminating over things, Lauren, going over and over in our head, moving on from them.
Yeah, and that we're not overscheduled. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, enjoying it. We miss it. Simplicity is nice. It is.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay, we are doing great, and we are right on time.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
right.
So let's move on.
That's you, Babs, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
We did not want to leave you with the 3 F's and just go, okay, go try them without a technique. So this is your, probably the most important takeaway of the webinar, and we left it for last so we could practice. And we're going to ask you to write, and we're going to ask you to, if you feel comfortable, putting it in the chat. We're going to talk about mindset phrasing. And what this means, once again, words matter. How we talk to ourselves, how we talk out loud, what people hear from us, it all determines our mood and our mood meter and whether or not we see the future as positive or completely fatalistic, okay? So we're going to show you a few examples of what mindset phrasing is, and then we're going to ask you to practice. So here's how it goes. We have a way of saying things that don't serve anybody, especially us. We're going to show you that. And then we're going to show you how you reword it, and if you feel comfortable saying it out loud to yourself. So, Charlotte, try it.
All right, the first one, I'm not doing this right, which normally I just say like, I suck at this.
Yeah.
And then the way to rethink, I suck at this is, oh, I need to revisit my options.
Yes, and just tell me if you can appreciate this. You're getting down the rabbit hole of despair. This happened to me 8 times in the last 6 weeks. And one was pairing the garage door opener. Don't get me started. And right when I give up, I go, oh, let me try one more thing. Boom. Done.
Amazing. Fortitude.
Right? It's fortitude, but it's also a way to talk to yourself where you stay capable. All right, try another one.
All right. I just am not good at this.
Yeah. Versus?
I still need to and can develop this skill.
That's right. So when our clients say to us, Charlotte, Barbara, I'm terrible at public speaking, we say,
Right.
No, you just need to develop it. Yeah.
And it is a skill.
Yeah.
And there's the my life is a disaster. That was last night.
Instead,
despite present circumstances, there are still good things that are happening.
That's right. And we probably all have those places where we go to just get reoriented, and that's great. How about this one?
There's absolutely no way I can do this.
Versus?
Who can I ask for help?
And what I would also add to that one, just in case it sounds too flowery and perfect, is let me table that for an hour, come back to it, and reword it. You got what I'm saying? Like, it might not work in the moment. And at Charlotte, we decided to add this one because of the present circumstances.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing I can do to make a difference in the world right now.
Versus
sitting with your family, talking about it, and say, how best can we contribute to resolving this situation, or certainly doing something active.
That's right. So what we'd like you to do right now is, could you please write a not this and a this, and I'll show how we can type them into the chat while you write one on paper.
Yeah, write the one that, we all know our one, and maybe it's the same as this one right here that you're looking at, but we all have that one thing, like the not, that we know very well about ourselves. So the more honest you are with yourself, the more helpful this will be. So I suggest you just write down your classic not this and how it interferes, and maybe a different way to phrase it and frame it. We'll give you 45 seconds to write that down. I relate odds. I am not enough. I am enough.
So that's how we'll do it. Not this to this. So we've got Audrey says, I am not enough. This, I am enough. Wow, fantastic.
Amazing.
And since we are here to add and validate, it is true. It is true. Not this. I don't have enough time for this. So that's good. Not this. I don't want to say it in the group. This. I'm going to say what I think in the group. Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Daisy, that's incredible. We need more of that right now. And we're going to come to you later. Jen, not this. I can't get all this done. Let me regroup and prioritize. Overwhelm is a state where, when that happens, there's so much, we just melt. And I feel like I've melted a lot in the last 3 months. And to be able to prioritize is a huge this that really reframes it. Laura.
These are great.
Go ahead, Babs, read Laura's.
Yeah, I can't solve this, so I'm going to spend, I'm not going to spend energy trying this. How can I use my influence? Yeah, to change what I can let go of. Awesome.
Yeah.
The serenity prayer, Laura.
Oh, look at, here they come. I'm a failure and imposter. I have areas of strength and areas of weakness. Very common state for men and women.
Yeah, Jenny, nice one. I'm never going to finish this degree. I just need to focus on this assignment. Oh, so true. Tick it off, tick it off, tick it off.
Isn't
I
it so
remember that feeling
interesting?
in the final year of my master's. Oof.
Yeah, I don't have time for this. What can I amend in my schedule to make it happen? I mean, I just feel like these are such human, normal things. Like, nod your head if you look at all of these and some part of you relates to them all and recognizes yourself in them, and that these are just not just the individuals that are writing them, but that this is a human experience. And one of the things I think we kind of skipped over in ours, there's no way I can do this, to who can I ask for help, is this idea that asking for help is just a huge part of stepping forward sometimes, just saying, I'm stuck and I need to ask a trusted advisor, a friend, for help.
And what I would add to that, Shar, just as a little piece of advice, everybody, there's some advice that I really appreciate that says, don't use this expression, can I pick your brain? Rephrase it. And even if it is, I need some advice, I need some help. And the reason is because there's been a lot of that recently, and when it's easy to pick somebody's brain when they've got lots of energy and they're all filled up. But it's really hard when somebody says, can I pick your brain? And you think they want it for free and they want it now. And so just change the way you ask and it works.
This is okay. Excellent. Babs, ready? I see we're coming to the close here. So should we move on?
Yep.
All right. So this is a quote that we read that Ariana Huffington said at least 8 weeks ago, even before this last 2 weeks. And I think it's a really important point of view that we want to share about where we stand in the world today. Babs, will you read it?
Yes. The pandemic has, oops, goodness gracious, this is really sensitive. The pandemic has in effect forced our hand. We have an opportunity to change because we have to emerge into a world that is not merely new, but better, fairer, and more compassionate than the one we leave behind.
I don't know if any of you have seen it. I found this really inspirational. I felt like she moved from a perspective of the 3 F's of fight, flight, or freeze into the 3 F's of like, what are the possibilities? We don't want to go back to a world the way it was. Too much has changed, too much needs to change, and we can move forward and make changes and focus on the things that really matter to us right now, and really put our stake in the ground about that and stick to it. Like Judith was saying earlier, I've got to let people know I am not available all day and night to answer emails. Like, I need my private time. That's small steps, but that makes a big difference. And the world needs to recognize that we cannot work 24/7, and many more things beside that need to change too. So hopefully this is a quote you can use to remind us of the opportunity we can all look forward to, and the silver lining in some ways of all of this. The world is about to change even more. And that might be a really good thing. All right, Babs, here we go. I'll stop.
We want to offer a challenge and an opportunity to you. On our SheSpeaks page, we are hoping we're going to add a new feature, which we're calling Amplify Women's Voices. And we hope what it'll be is not just inspiration, but it could be even a challenge to your fellow female warriors about how to handle this. Yeah. So you'll notice here, these are just samples from our page right now, and they're awesome. What we're asking for you to consider is recording yourself for about a minute. Just make sure we can see you. It's decent lighting. That's all you use your phone, and tell us how you're showing up. What's working for you, how you're staying present. And we'll give you some ideas in a moment, but essentially it's something for women to go, yeah, this is inspiring.
Yeah, and I think it needs to reflect who you really are. And here's some ideas for things you could talk about, what's really sucked for you and how you've grown from it, maybe who or what has been helpful that others might get benefit from, what you're excited about. Here's a change for the better. Maybe ways your communication skills have improved. And I think you can even talk about what's been challenging and what your hopes are around that. I believe that this is a place for you to, again, share what's going on, bring your voice. Like Daisy said earlier, I will speak up, right? Silence is the enemy of everything. So we will send you the link after this webinar ends in 4 minutes, and you can hopefully choose to just take it and let go of the bigger perfectionism of it's got to be perfect, and send us 30 seconds, a minute, and we would love to hear from you and share with each other. That's SheSpeaks Nation at Work. For those of you that enrolled in our She Speaks from last April that got moved to June, that now is moved to October 1st. We are determined that it's going to happen one way or another. So we will maybe have some, depending on how the rollout goes, some virtual, some live. We're going to make it work. We're going to make it safe. We're going to be there for you. So we will see you in October. For those of you that might want to join our She Speaks in October, you can go to the She Speaks page on our website to find out more. So we are never done with all of you, and we never want all of you to be done with us. And thank you for joining us, and we're always here for you. And what my mantra's been, my last parting mantra words are, you know, every day try to learn something, read something, find out something new, burn some physical energy, get fit, F for fit, and then show some concern to others and be of service to the world. And that really helps at these times when we're feeling so isolated. So thank you. Babs, your last word.
And ironically, they're not F's, they're R's. But just when push comes to shove, we just need to relax, relate, and release. And if you've had a quarantine quarrel with your significant other over the past 80 days, you know what I'm talking about. You got to redirect and go back when you're relaxed and you can relate and you've released all that ickiness. So we hope you can do that. And it's been a pleasure to be with you today. And we will be in touch with the link in case you want to do a 1 minute.
Yeah, we'll send that off to you. All right. Be well. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.